might. A touchdown, Packers, fight, 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 fight on. You blue and gold to glory, win the game, the same old story. Fight you, Packers, fight. I bring the bacon home to old Green Bay.
For the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions, Sunday's divisional showdown is for all the marbles. A divisional championship is on the line, along with a playoff berth, which is at stake. So what's going to give, and who's going to win the battle of attrition and be crowned the champion of the NFC North? To receive some answers to those very questions, I enlisted the help of Charlie Zukadis, the sports director for NBC 26 in Green Bay, as we chatted about the primetime showdown in Motown on Thursday. First of all, Charlie, we want to take the opportunity and welcome you to the Two Man Advantage podcast, and we're excited to talk some Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions football with you this afternoon.
It's exciting to talk about the Green Bay Packers and the Detroit Lions. Pretty good time of the year to be doing it.
So when we look at the matchup on Sunday, obviously the Packers have won 5 in a row to get to this point after sort of being at a crossroads at 4-6. So I'm just wondering your opinion on how they got that done and the key to their turnaround this season.
Really, I think it's two things. Number one, they actually got a little bit healthy during that stretch where they got beat 4 games in a row. They were down to second, third, fourth string cornerbacks. They were missing pieces. Their defense, even though it's not the best defense in the league when it is healthy, was really depleted at that time. So I think getting a few guys back really helped out this team. And then you look at the play of Aaron Rodgers, what he's been able to do since making the proclamation that they could run the table. He's always a good quarterback. He was a great quarterback for the last 5 weeks, and it looks like you have every reason to expect that's going to continue. Last week he talked about sort of being in the zone, and there's no reason to think that's going to stop this coming game.
And when we look at the Packers turnaround, obviously the emergence of Ty Montgomery is big at running back for them. Can you just talk about his ascension to that position and the Packers' resiliency in overcoming injuries all season?
Well, the thing with Ty Montgomery that was really interesting is when you go all the way back to last year, you saw flashes that they had something special in Ty. Obviously, that was when he was playing wide receiver, but he was a guy that needed to get the ball in his hand. They needed to get it to him because he could do stuff, but he got injured in week 6, and then we didn't see him the rest of the year. This season, they had such a backlog at wide receiver for the Packers, talented guys, that they weren't finding a lot of ways to get Montgomery the ball early in the year anyway. So they were already thinking about getting him more into that running back position, or at least having him as an option out of the backfield when they lost Eddie Lacy and when James Starks went down. So it kind of made a great fit. It took a week or two for everybody to get on the same page and figure out how to make this work. But when you stand next to Montgomery, he's built like a running back. He is not a frail guy. He's got about 20 pounds on Randall Cobb. He's a guy that you look at it and you go, I didn't see that coming, but now that it's happening, okay, that makes sense. And that's really been one of the keys for them, that he's stepped up, that he's been able to have success out of the backfield, has allowed this team to go back to getting some runs. They're not getting 30 runs a game, but they're getting 15 to 20, and that's enough that they can do some of the other things offensively that they want to do.
And I know you had the opportunity to talk to Aaron Rodgers yesterday. So what is he saying of the matchup with the Lions and the challenges that they present?
One of the interesting things when you talk to the guys and when you talk to Coach Mike McCarthy, none of them want to say that this game means anything more than any other game. Rodgers came out and said, we'll prepare the exact same way. Coach McCarthy was pretty feisty this week, which lets you know maybe it's a little bit different, but he said, his words were, we're going to prepare the exact same way. We're not doing anything different. We're not viewing it any different. So these guys are focusing on that whole old cliche one game at a time thing. but there is an energy in the building. You could feel it with Aaron Rodgers. You could feel it with Mike McCarthy this week. You got a little bit from Jordy Nelson that seemed like this. There's a little extra pep in everybody's step this week, and I think that is indicative of just how important this game is to the Packers, both to win the division and to make sure they get into the playoffs.
And what do you think is the largest challenge that the Lions present as a team as a whole going into this matchup?
I think you got to look at Matthew Stafford. Yes, he's got the banged-up finger, but that really doesn't seem to have limited him too much. And when you consider the fact that the Packers at times have given up plays in the secondary, Matthew Stafford is a guy that for Detroit, if they're going to win, he has to play great. Conversely, losing Slay in their secondary, if he's not able to go, I know he's got a tweaked hamstring. He did go through practice some this week, but if he doesn't go or if he's not 100%, you better believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to find a way to come back and pick on that spot. And so I think that both cases, both games, the quarterbacks and the secondary matchup could be the biggest thing that happens, could be what determines who wins this division.
And when we look at collapse versus surging, certainly the Lions started the season at 7-4, and they've lost their last two during the most difficult part of their schedule. And conversely, as we talked about, the Packers have now won 5 in a row. So can you just give me your perspective on if the Lions fail to win the division, what sort of a collapse that might be, and what statement would that say for the Packers that they were able to run the table and win the division?
Well, for the Packers, obviously, I think it's just a great example of a team continuing to trust the process that they're going through. You know, even when they were losing, Coach Mike McCarthy this year said, despite the results, he really likes this team, likes the guys on it, likes the talent, likes the way they work together, and he believed that they were going to get it turned around. Obviously, Aaron Rodgers did too. That's why he came out and said they could run the table. On the other side of the ball, though, when you talk about collapse, I don't know that that's all that fair when you saddle Detroit with that, because the Giants are going to be a playoff team. Dallas might be the best team in the league, and if they lose to Green Bay is a playoff team. So it's not like they came in late in the season and lost to a bunch of nobodies and blew their opportunity. They've been playing some of the better teams in the entire league this last 3 weeks. I think that's why their schedule or their record is starting to tilt down a little bit. And even against other teams, it had taken a lot of fourth quarter comebacks for Detroit to get where they are. I think at times they may have just overperformed their talent level and come up with some big wins late. So the collapse, we'll see what happens. There is still that potential that they could lose the game and somehow make the playoffs. So if they get into the playoffs for Detroit, I still think that's a win. For the Packers, they not only want to get in, they want to win this division because that's what the Packers do.
Hey, if it ends in a tie, we all make the playoffs and everybody's happy, right?
Oh, yeah, which could be, I mean, can you imagine what it would feel like or what it could feel like standing on the field next Sunday if they're going to overtime and everybody knows that that's the scenario?
There will be a lot of nervous people on both sides of the aisle, that's for sure. Let me be totally honest, not a lot of people here in Windsor and Detroit think that the Lions are going to win this game. So I'm wondering, from your side of the coin there, why should Lions fans be optimistic about potentially beating the Packers?
Well, I don't know that they should be optimistic. I think that the Packers are playing at a pretty high level right now. The only thing that you can hang your hat on, if you're looking at the Detroit side of the ball, is even in these, with the exception of the Minnesota game, a lot of these games have been close. You know, the Packers were leading Chicago pretty handedly, and then Chicago came all the way back late. They do have a propensity to give up a big play here or there. And Matthew Stafford's the kind of guy that can create a big play here or there. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of points scored in this game on both sides. The fact that it is in Detroit, in a dome, on a fast track, makes you think that, obviously there's not going to be any outside factors coming in. So if it's a shootout, I'm always going to like the team that has Aaron Rodgers in that scenario. But Matthew Stafford has had a pretty good year, and he might have one trick left up his sleeve. If he can just have, sort of a top-tier game for him, they'll have a puncher's chance.
And can you tell me, this team for the Packers looks eerily similar to the team that last won the Super Bowl. So I'm wondering if you could draw some comparisons for me, and if you see the same thing I do in the fact that this team is capable of making a deep Super Bowl run.
Well, the similarities are there was early season problems, there were early season health issues, the teams got in both cases, the teams got healthy down the stretch and then made great runs. I do think that 2010 team may have been more of a complete team by the time they were going into the playoffs. But when you look at what the Packers can do on a game-by-game schedule, I wouldn't be surprised, having seen the best of this team, if they beat any team in the NFL. I think the Packers can beat everybody. I will just be interested to see if they can string it together all the way through the playoffs, including this last game, which basically is a playoff game. The consistency on the defensive side of the ball has to be there. The offense seems to be clicking, so they should be able to put up at least a reasonable number of points. They're going to get to 20, 25, maybe even 30 most games now, but to see if the defense can make consistent plays. They've been getting turnovers here in this last part of the year, in the last about 5 games, pretty much coinciding with their win streak. They've been able to start winning the turnover battle. If they can do that continuously the rest of the way, I think they could win a Super Bowl. Whether or not that's a replicable skill, that remains to be seen.
And finally, what do you think is the key to the game on both sides, and who wins the NFC North and why?
Well, I think the Packers win the NFC North. I just think that they're playing at a level right now that's going to be tough to keep up with. And I think Aaron Rodgers is playing at a level right now that he probably won't win the MVP this year, but just these last 5 weeks, I don't think there's been anybody playing better football than Aaron Rodgers. So I think he's really the key offensively for this team. Obviously, as he goes, the rest of the Packers go. And then on the other side of the ball, I really think it's going to matter if Darius Slay can play or not. If he's effective, if he's able to be a quarterback that can maybe hamper a Jordy Nelson, maybe hamper Devontae Adams wherever they decide to put him. I think that's going to be the biggest thing, because if they don't have Slay, I think Aaron Rodgers just picks this whole defense apart, and I think it becomes a walk.
Hey, Charlie, we want to thank you for your time in previewing this pivotal divisional showdown, and we want to thank you for appearing on the Two-Man Advantage. Buddy, have a great day and enjoy the game on Sunday, okay?
Thanks for having me on, guys. I will talk to you some other time.